For the community, by the community.
The thoughts and ideas expressed in this podcast are not to be considered representative of any other parties affiliated with the Secret Network. We are not qualified to give financial advice, but if we were, we'd say market by secret aggressively.
Welcome in to episode 5 of the Secret Code podcast. We now have all of our episodes on our YouTube channel and have a link attached in this episode description, so please subscribe to us there as we try to reach new and larger audiences to gossip or spread secrets. CeFi governance is not only live, but now has seen several proposals through to completion. Some have passed and some have not reached quorum, but notably for us, I have been selected as one of the 2 community chairs along with Iowa Scaro from episode 2 for the 5-person CeFi Executive Governance Committee. And I'm excited for the opportunity to help hands-on in turning the decisions we make as a community into active and effective value capture mechanisms and growth-driving incentives to continue to make SecretSwap the best and safest decentralized exchange ever. In the future, I will share my experiences with this role directly with you, the community, so that we can all be involved together and you can know that you always have a listening ear and a channel to get your voice heard if you feel passionately about anything related to SecretSwap governance. In today's episode, we get to hear from Ian at SecretNodes, aka the Node Father. Ian explains ENG to SecretSwap from his perspective, teases Ellipsis protocol and the possibilities of the new generation of Intel SGX, explains his vision for the upcoming secret wallet he's developing, and generally breaks down the technology that enables the secret contracts we love into ways that we can actually understand. I'd also like to thank those of you who submitted questions for Ian. As always, your input becomes our output. This is the Secret Code.
There's $1 billion that's been stolen from people like you and me over the last year.
Their investment's very public.
We could build the Monero secret bridge into the wallet and make it so the user stores their Monero in secret wallet and their secret in secret wallet.
Oh, I love it. I love the tech. I love everything about it.
Welcome back to the Secret Code podcast. I'm your host, Eric Weisen, and joined today with special guest, the Node Father himself, Ian. Ian, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
It's our honor. Go ahead and describe yourself for those of us who don't know you or who would like to know you a little bit better. Who are you?
All right, well, I'm Ian. I am a network participant on the Secret Network, and I'm mostly a technical participant, so my background is information technology, setting up servers and system administration and things like that. So, yeah, I mean, I guess I'm just a nerd.
That's awesome. We need lots and lots of nerds in this ecosystem. What are your current roles within the Secret Network?
Current roles would be leading the infrastructure committee, which creates public good infrastructure related resources for people who want to leverage the Secret Network. And then my primary function at my company, Secret LLC, is CEO. Pretty much what I actually do with that is any of the admin work, like paperwork stuff. And then primarily what I do is lead product and infrastructure. So when we're setting up nodes and maintaining them and Sentry nodes, etc., I handle all that stuff.
That's awesome. I know we've been working on setting up our own node, and you've been incredibly helpful with that, talking with me and Paul. So thank you very much. And we're hoping that'll be up nice and soon. A little bit more about you personally. What are some non-generic traits about you that perhaps you'd like explained to your great-great-grandchildren, something that's more uniquely you?
This might be kind of silly to say, but I don't know how much of an identity I have outside of the nerdy stuff, you know? I really just love computers and working on them. So blockchain was a pretty good fit for that because of the flexibility and kind of getting, you know, in certain circumstances to work for yourself in this space. But outside of that, I have done a little bit of like cinematography and photography, some creative stuff, but it doesn't take up much of my time anymore.
When did you first get involved in cryptocurrency?
I first got involved in cryptocurrency in 2011. I was going to college for information technology, and college wasn't really my thing. And I read an article about gamers who were using their gaming machines to mine Bitcoins. And it got me pretty intrigued. I had a few gaming machines, and pretty quickly, like 24 hours after reading that article, I made a lot of decisions. I left college. I started a Bitcoin mining company called We Mine Coins. And that's pretty much what hooked me. It was mining. It was the technology side. I don't really have a background in finance. What hooked me was the technology side.
That's awesome. Was it around 2011 that you called Iowa? I remember talking to him. He said that he got a call from you as a friend's friend saying, hey, buy Bitcoin.
With Iowa, I believe that was like 2013 to 2015, sometime in there.
Very cool. Yeah, I got involved in 2017, and that year, like after I discovered it, I'm like, oh God, telling all my family, you guys need to buy Bitcoin. You guys need to get involved in crypto. And so a couple of them got in just in time for the 2018 rug pull. When did you discover Enigma?
I read an article before the ENG token or secret came out. I read an article years before that, I think 2015. Enigma was positioning their story around mining data. The narrative was kind of like, with Bitcoin mining, the computations that are done are not useful for anything other than the specific purpose of verifying transactions, essentially. And there was a story being told related to Enigma opening the door for you to use your computer and hard drives to mine data. And I thought that was really interesting because it makes the computations useful outside of a specific thing. I mean, we all like Bitcoin, so I'm glad it exists, but it would be neat if the computations were more generally useful. And so I set up a Google alert on that. And a couple years later, noticed that the ENG token was coming out and it was moved from Bitcoin to Ethereum. The initial concept was talking about this like on the Bitcoin blockchain. And then I participated in the ICO, and that's kind of how I got into ENG and then eventually Secret.
So you first got involved with the ICO. Who were your first actual contacts as far as Enigma team? And when did you get involved as more than just an investor or a community member?
I think my first contact was Tor, I'm pretty sure. This would have been like December 2017 or January or February 2018 when I got in contact with him. At the time, the Agents program was running. Sorry, it wasn't the Agents program, it was the Ambassador program. And there were a few ambassadors that helped connect me, and then I became an Enigma ambassador.
Very cool. When did you actually start SecretNodes?
SecretNodes was started in 2018, I'm pretty sure. We actually got what was called an egg grant. I think we might have even been the only people to get a grant from those days because they were so early. It was pre-network. And that grant is essentially what enabled us to start the secretnodes.org website. And initially, it was supposed to be a profitability calculator for staking and informational site for node running. And that's what it was for a bit. Later on, things kind of morphed a little bit, but that's what it started off as.
Who all works with you at SecretNodes?
So right now we have Jacob, who is co-owner, co-founder of SecretNodes. And we also have another Jacob. To make things less confusing, we'll just call him by his middle name, Leon. And he's our designer. So right now it's just me and CTO being Jacob, the developer, and then Leon is the designer.
Very cool. All right, so you were actively involved in the swap. I know it was a community organized swap, and you, not being a part of the Enigma team, are one of those community members. When did the idea of a swap come up, and how was that facilitated?
Good question. So I was involved in the launch of the Secret network. The SecretNodes validator is a Genesis node, meaning it was present when the first block was signed. And when the network launched, it became clear that the network was powered by a coin that was not ENG. And it was made clear that ENG would not get further development. So I got involved with the swap pretty immediately after the network launched because, well, I had a bunch of ENG and so did a bunch of other people. And it was very clear that the Enigma team couldn't really be involved with any process to swap over. And a lot of parties didn't really want to be involved with the swap or talk about it. So it just seemed like a need that if wasn't filled, there would be a lot of unhappiness.
What risks were there in starting this? Like, how did you know that the Enigma team was actually going to support it and you wouldn't just be burning your Enigma that could eventually be valuable someday in the future?
Well, the risks were plentiful and the answers were non existent. There were a lot of things that weren't answered. I didn't know how many people would swap. I had no idea if people would believe in the swap enough to do it, even though the ENG token was getting no further development. You still don't know what people are going to do. We didn't have the benefit of the swap being promoted by a lot of the bigger entities. None of them wanted to really associate on that level. So there were a lot of risks involved. I mean, honestly, I just proceeded even with the risks. I wasn't really sure what else to do in this situation. It's kind of like I have, all this Enigma and so do all these other people. We can either do it or write it off.
And the fact of the matter is, what Enigma's building, what the secret network is consisting of, is something that is absolutely imperative to the future of blockchain, to the future of the internet. And to just have the development stop over a biased and kind of haphazard SEC ruling is foolish. There is a need for this technology. It would be a shame for it to stop. So thank you for taking that risk. Thank you for organizing the swap and proceeding with it. I'm sure that must have been extraordinarily scary, but I'm glad that it worked out and that it's blossoming into this awesome L1.
Yeah, I'm happy with how the swap turned out. I do want to clarify, specifically, it was made clear that the ENG token would not be further developed. At no point was I told that the technology and the vision that has been talked about over the years wasn't going to be brought to the secret network. It presented the scenario where, do we want to enable the people from ENG to move over, to come with? That's really what the conversation was about. And I think that was kind of vital in seeing the bigger vision come to fruition. We spent years building a community. It makes sense we would bring them with us. So I am glad at how it turned out. I forgot the percentage that was burned, but it was a very large percentage of the supply that was burned.
I heard it was over 80%.
I believe it was. I think it was like 85% or so. And a fair amount of the remaining stuff, not all of it, but a fair amount of it was really just exchanges who ignored us when we told them about the swap. Some of them even still have ENG listed, even though it's strange that they still have it listed. I would imagine that that's a liability for them, but sure enough.
Yeah, every now and then we get somebody coming into our Telegram saying, hey, wasn't this a scam? Didn't everybody pull the rug? There was no rug pull. The developers, the Enigma team, didn't sell their ENG. They couldn't touch it. There was a swap. There was about a year to hear about the swap, to take part of it in yourself. You could have left your coins on Binance and you would have gone through the swap. You had to literally completely ignore your investment for over a year in order to not take part in it. It was broadcast from the Rocket Chat, from the Twitter, Telegram, Reddit, anywhere you possibly could have heard about Enigma. They mentioned the swap and that ENG was dead due to the SEC ruling and current uncertainty. It does suck. It is really unfortunate that some people lost money. We were put in an awkward situation. We found a way out and we did everything we possibly could have as a community to make sure everyone knew. So I just passively involved in the community, was well aware for the entire year and was able to take part in it myself just because Binance was taking longer than I wanted. And I'm glad I did because I got to stake earlier.
In hindsight, like if you look at the Sentinel swap, they have an ERC20 token. There is a swap open to their Cosmos chain. They made a similar move from ETH to Cosmos. And they're closing their swap soon. So I don't know the exact amount of time it will have run for, but it's kind of close to half the amount of time that the ENG burn was open. Like in hindsight, the only other thing that I've ever seen that was a swap between an ERC20 and a Cosmos-based chain, I mean, they didn't even do it as long as us. So
that is great for context. And I'm a big fan of DVPN, and I cannot wait until that swap closes so I can go in their Telegram and give them crap about it and call it a scam.
Don't do that, but I get your point.
Now, obviously, we did have to close the swap, and I was one of the louder voices in the Telegram saying we do need to close it because of the uncertainty and the pre-mined Enigma that we didn't want to eventually move over, and the fact that we wanted set supply rates for tokenomics, why can we say that it's fair that it is now closed? Like, why can't it open up again?
I think the best answer that I can give on that is going back to how the swap started. I was the only one willing to propose it. It's not that there weren't other teams that were even maybe more capable of making such a thing. Like Enigma is clearly more capable of doing something like that. So there were plenty of qualified teams, and there's a reason why they didn't jump up, and it was because of uncertainty and things like that, right? So why is it fair that it's closed? Well, it closed because the swap operators didn't want to continue taking any risks related to being operators. Somebody else could try and open it again, but much like the first scenario, good luck finding somebody that wants to take on that risk. And then past that, as a project, I don't think the majority of the network is interested in pushing things backwards in a direction that would make it harder for us to get listed on exchanges and harder for us to move forward in a compliant way.
Fair enough. So tell me about the SecretNodes Explorer. You said SecretNodes started out as pretty much help for node operations and information. Now you guys are running really the predominant Explorer on the network. Can you talk me through that, how you started to work on it, and some of your biggest challenges?
Well, the biggest challenge related to the Explorer, I would say, is the fact that when the network launched, we had to focus on the swap. I say had to kind of loosely. I felt like we had to. We already had plans for when the network launched to create like an Explorer or a wallet. And it kind of had to go to the wayside a little bit, but we were able to pull it off and get it started. Essentially, we forked Hubble, which was funded from a grant from the Interchain Foundation, I believe, and that is made by Figment. And we took the code base at a certain point in time, and we just forked it. We fixed a lot of stuff related to the public code base. There was a ton of broken stuff that made it not work. We fixed all that stuff, and we just kind of hit the ground running and adding features to it over time.
I know I have a lot of newer guests that aren't super tech savvy. Can you explain what an Explorer is and what you can do on it, and maybe what the website is?
So traditionally, an Explorer is something that helps you interpret the public blockchain data. That's generally what it is. So like Etherscan or blockchain.com, I guess they've kind of moved a little away from being an Explorer, but Etherscan is probably the best example. Whenever there's a transaction that happens, it's a public data point, let's say. And if you're just interacting directly with the blockchain, you don't necessarily get to see that in a user-friendly way. Like the average user isn't going to really understand like a JSON file that says this transaction occurred at this point in time and did this, this, and this. Like it kind of needs to be interpreted with a UI. And that's what the Explorer does for people.
Especially when a decent amount of the JSON data is masked.
Right.
So in our last episode, we talked to Asaf, and we kind of teased a little bit that there could be an Ellipsis protocol with a higher memory capability to kind of help out with different use cases in the secret network. Now, I know you're the one really initiating, spearheading that. Could you talk me through what Ellipsis protocol would be and what usefulness it could have?
So with Ellipsis protocol, it's something that I've been thinking about for a bit. And there were essentially two paths that were on the table to pursue. The first path is making a fork of the secret network that has ultra-fast block times. There are a number of significant challenges that make that much more difficult than the opposite path, which is making a longer block time and higher memory. With the lower block time, essentially to make that work, with Cosmos SDK-based chains, the lower the block time is, the more centralized the network has to be, essentially, from my understanding. Like when you start talking about sub 1 second block times, that happens and is possible if all the node runners are in the same rack in a data center. It doesn't really work well if one node is in the United States and then another node is in China or something like that, especially with the current memory size. So you'd have to lower the memory size. And the use case for that path is essentially like quick executing dexes and stuff like that. And with the reverse, with the longer block times and more memory, the abilities you would gain is being able to do larger computations.
Okay, and what is a use case that would need a larger computation? Why is that something important? We talked with Asaf that there was a trade-off between memory size and speed. What's something that could use that much memory, even if it doesn't exist yet, something in the future?
Well, an example that is coming into existence today is the humanoid project. I believe when they were asked about this, I believe they said that they stopped pursuing their project on the secret network because like a single algorithm for biometrics data consumed too much memory. It went over the memory limit of the 12 megabytes for a secret contract. So this would enable them to do something on Ellipsis. I don't necessarily believe they're interested in that because now they're launching their own chain that they made, but that is a use case.
Thank you, Nodefather. And while you may be unlocking plenty of potential use cases with Ellipsis protocol, what I'm really concerned about is what can you unlock with the viewing key? Let's look into the viewing key. The question isn't why do you have to make one on Secret Network? The question is why don't you everywhere else? All right, so for the viewing key, I try to bring a question from an aspect of Secret Network that somebody's not primarily familiar with, and this might be a little bit more abstract, coming from just specifically content creation surrounding the Secret Network. So I have a quote from you with a multiple choice option for who to attribute the quote to.
Uh-oh.
Whose quote is this? Decentralized technology is the exact antithesis of those who believe in the central control of technology and monetary policy. Is it A, Tor Baer, B, Andrew Yang, C, Edward Snowden, or D, Carter Wetzel?
Ooh, that's a good multiple choice. I'm gonna have to go with Carter Wetzel because he tends to say things that could have been said by any of the people you list.
That is correct. It was Carter in his book, which I purchased,
Yes.
Building Confidence in Blockchains, Investing in Cryptocurrency and a Decentralized Future, that he published last year. It's on page 259. It's honestly a really awesome and informative book for people really trying to understand what blockchain is going to offer the future and how to invest in it. It's really, really well written, especially for someone pretty young.
Yeah, that's great. What did I win?
All of the props, my friend, and a nice little applause soundbite.
Amazing.
All right, my friend, back to our conversation. Could you walk me through what the secret wallet is that you guys at SecretNodes have been developing, and what advantages will a secret network focus wallet have over Kepler?
Yeah, sure. So the first thing I want to say on Secret Wallet in general is that it's going to focus primarily, first and foremost, on secret. So that is the advantage over any other wallet for anybody that is in the secret ecosystem in general. Kepler is doing an amazing job building an interchain wallet, but they support many networks. So they don't seem to focus primarily on one network, unless you want to say they primarily focus on Cosmos, which might be true. And what it is it's a privacy wallet. We do want to support other assets in it, but everything that we do with our products always comes back to secret. So when we support other assets, we want to create flows for people to move between secret and those other assets. So yeah, I mean, Secret Wallet is going to be a privacy wallet that focuses on secret first and foremost. And by privacy wallet, I mean, there's a lot of wallets out there that just don't protect privacy in general. I think Kepler does a good job, but with some of the features that we have, like storing viewing keys encrypted in the accounts and enabling users to have the only key to decrypt them making sure that those viewing keys or any encrypted wallets that a user creates, that those addresses are not associated with a user account on our platform. And that's what I mean by privacy wallet. We want to enable these ease of use features like storing your seed encrypted, your viewing keys encrypted, and things like that, like labels for addresses. But we want it all to be private. We don't want somebody to sign up for this account and then have us able to see, oh, this email address, it owns this secret address.
Okay, so you're talking about potentially incorporating other chains if it were to come back to Secret Network, like making that interoperability easier. Does that mean potentially you could in the future have both Secret and Monero, and then you could have Monero and Secret Monero in the same place? Or could you even operate the bridge perhaps through the wallet interface?
It's funny you mention that, because the other asset that I am the most interested in supporting is Monero. The people over at mymonero.com, they maintain an open source web wallet for Monero, and they have Monero.js, which is like the type of thing we would need to be able to quickly support something like Monero. And yeah, the idea is to support other assets that have a link back to Secret. So we could build the Monero Secret Bridge into the wallet and make it so the user stores their Monero in Secret wallet and their Secret in Secret wallet. And I think that's better for users than saying, go use this wallet for this network, go use this wallet for that network, et cetera, et cetera.
Dude, if people could use a bridge like that without having to go to the special bridge site and track all that in one place and make sure it goes into the right wallet at the right time, that would be incredible. If you could just be in your wallet and be like, switch from Monero to Secret Monero and just have it take place in one, that would be absolutely awesome. And I know you talked about Kepler being a Cosmos focused wallet, which is true, and they're focusing on the Cosmos ecosystem, but it's still kind of weird to me hearing that, Secret's just a part of the Cosmos ecosystem. Like, I'm only really trusting things built on the Secret ecosystem, and I'm expecting Cosmos and these other platforms to eventually be a part of that. I mean, we are a layer one, even though we're built on Cosmos SDK, but Cosmos by itself, when not going through Secret, doesn't have its privacy.
I don't have an issue with Kepler's approach. To clarify from my perspective, outside of the language that they might use to explain this or that, really the differentiator is how many different things we focus on, right? Some validators, let's say, are validating on tens of networks, right? And that splits their focus. Some wallet providers focus on tens of different networks to support in their wallet. That splits their focus. And the same for like explorers and stuff. I think that's why you see MintScan take a very generalized approach when supporting new chains, because the experience is pretty much the same no matter what chain you look at on MintScan. Whereas when you look on SecretNodes, there's very, very, very specific features for Secret, and we're working to make the experience better for Sentinel on the Explorer, for example, but it's not going to have quite a few of the features it would have for Secret because they don't have contracts over there, and there's no secret on that side, etc. So there's just like a more tailored approach to each of the networks when you focus on fewer things, in my opinion.
Very cool. So talking about potentially a bridge sometime in the future, working with the wallet is awesome. There are two other features that I know I've heard the community really are looking for in a wallet. One is mobile and one are NFTs. Will the wallet be compatible with that?
So day one, the wallet will not be compatible with that. The approach we're taking is we're taking a few vital slices of features from a wallet and we're putting it into secretnodes.com. So there are some basic, straightforward wallet features in there. But, for anything even medium to advanced level, you really need an experience that's a dedicated wallet. Like, we don't want to create an extremely convoluted explorer. We're just essentially alpha or beta testing those features through secretnodes.com, and then those basic features will remain. And then secretwallet.com would have its own dedicated user experience, because the user experience you need for a wallet is going to be different than an explorer.
Well, that's very cool, and I'm extremely excited for when that wallet does come out. and I will be an avid supporter. I've been enjoying everything you're doing in the community, and the user interface sneak peek that you've dropped is really incredible. And everybody, especially in DeFi platforms, is really looking for that awesome user experience. And I'm excited that Jacob Leon is actively working on helping provide it, and you guys are doing a great job.
Yeah, without Leon, we couldn't have made it look beautiful, I think. He's doing excellent work. We're super happy.
Awesome. So more of what you've been doing with the Secret Network, I know that you've been making a lot of the big push for new APIs, which can you walk me through what are APIs and what are you trying to bring to Secret Network through it?
There are already a few API providers, Secret API from Dan, and then Data Hub from Figment. And what I think the new spin is on this really is the model. With Data Hub, there's an amount of requests that you can get for free. And then after that, they charge, and they were funded, from the pool to, create this thing. And with Dan, he didn't get funding to build that API. He just created it. And it doesn't seem like that one's in a state for a popular dApp to use it. So the different approach with the community API is the community pays for this dedicated hardware. And as we add more hardware, the capacity of the API increases. But there's no free tier. You just get free use of it. And whatever the community approves for capacity is essentially the capacity that the API will have. So it's more like a public good in that sense, or like a more liberal data hub, let's say. And that's pretty much the idea.
Okay, awesome. So API stands for Application Programming Interface. And with a more user-friendly one, is that supposed to attract more developers? Is that supposed to be similar to a client that makes it easier for people who want to build dApps or things that can only be built on Secret Network? Would that make it kind of easier for them to build those things?
When you're a dApp developer, it's kind of similar to being a regular application developer. And a lot of developers don't want to get bogged down in maintaining the infrastructure for the app. They want to focus on building the code. So what an API does for them essentially is it abstracts that work away and allows them to just leverage these endpoints to be able to make their dApp function and interact with the network, send transactions through, gather information from the chain. So like if you want to know the balance of an account, or if you want to query the balance of a secret token balance, you would use these API endpoints for that. When we added secret contracts to mainnet initially, there was a lot of discussion about how people thought all the nodes were going to be in Microsoft Azure. If all the nodes are in one place, or if all the dApps rely on one place, that's bad. Because if that one place goes down, then all the dApps suffer. I mean, it's kind of about attracting new devs, but it's also about adding this redundancy and this other option to the roster. Because if one of these things goes down, there should be another option. We shouldn't just cease all dApps functioning because one API goes down.
That's very informative. Thank you for breaking that down for me. When it comes to decentralization, what do you think is more important, like decentralized building or decentralized delegating? Why is each important, and what do you think needs to be focused on?
Decentralized building or decentralized delegation? With building, I really think we need more entrepreneurs that are growing teams that are building. And that probably looks more centralized than saying something like, we need a bunch more developers. I think we need more developers, but I think we need more teams of developers to build out real products that are fleshed out and not rough around the edges. When you have a bunch of solo developers developing, it's really hard for them to get the marketing right, the go-to-market strategy, the tech right, the user experience, especially if they're just a developer and they're not a designer, right? So I guess if the furthest side of that spectrum is as many developers as possible, not with a focus on teams, then I'm closer to the middle, probably on how decentralized I would push for. Not that I mean, it's great if there's a bunch of solo devs as well, but I really want to see more teams. And then with delegations, I think the best thing there is really getting people to delegate to multiple validators, which doesn't really have a good user experience at the moment. It could be made easier if that was something that was focused on more in general with like the staking abilities of the Tendermint chains.
Now, you are the node father, and the original purpose of SecretNodes was talking about the functionality and the helping other nodes run everything properly, and you've been helping us with that. What exactly is a validator on the network? How does that work? How is running a node on Secret Network similar and different from mining Bitcoin?
It's definitely very different because Bitcoin is proof of work and this is proof of stake. A go-to explanation of this is kind of the security is tied to energy costs. If you can attack the network for a very little amount of energy, then it's less secure than if you needed more energy to attack the network, paying for the electricity bill for all this mining equipment, right? But the way that the secret network validators are different than most other blockchains is the fact that everything happens inside the enclave. The blockchain runs inside the enclave, the secure element, SGX, in the processor. So when you do a computation, that information is protected by that secure element. And that's how the data remains private even from the node operator. The data we want to keep private, let's say. That's the most drastic difference. Bitcoin does not run inside an enclave. There's very few other networks that do anything similar.
Okay. Can you explain what the trusted enclaves are, how they work, and what makes Intel SGX special? Because I know we're not the only platform that's trying to use them and successfully using them for privacy. We're just the only one that's fully made an actual blockchain private. But what exactly is SGX? What are trusted enclaves? How do they work?
Generally speaking, essentially what a secure enclave is it's a part of the processor that can compute over data without revealing the underlying data and like the answers, the results of computations, without revealing that to the person that's running the node. And by extension, without revealing that to the public, even through like an explorer, unless you have the right key to see the information. Depending on how the contracts are written, some information would never be able to be revealed, even if you have XYZ key. And then other information that gets programmed to be permissioned or through access control would be revealed to anybody with the right key who queries the blockchain with a viewing key, essentially.
Okay, and Intel made this before Secret Network was mainnet. I know they didn't develop it specifically for us, and we're kind of taking advantage of that development and that it exists. What was it initially built for? What other platforms can it help other than just people building blockchains focused on privacy?
It was built to be able to do private computations in general. That was the whole purpose. It wasn't for blockchain, but yeah, we see some blockchain companies leveraging it today. I can tell you some other use cases for SGX. A really easy to understand one is DRM. Some DRM tools will use SGX to be able to play like a video that's protected or something. That's like a straightforward one. We generally probably all know kind of what DRM is.
DRM as in digital rights management?
Yes.
Okay. Switching gears to the upcoming IBC upgrade, which is currently slotted for early September, what is, in your opinion, the most exciting implication of the IBC bridge?
I think the most exciting implication is the unknown, like where IBC will be like a year from now. I know it's exciting to be able to transfer the native asset from one chain to another. I think that's exciting. I think that's cool. But there are a lot of unknowns around like cross-chain contract calls and different things like that, and figuring out how to transfer secret tokens over IBC and things like that, making stuff like that possible. So this puts our foot in the door, right? Like everybody's at the same spot essentially with IBC. in its functionality today. But IBC is very, very, very new. So personally, I'm more excited about what IBC will bring a year from now than a month from now. But we got to get our foot in the door with that. We got to make those connections now so we can have like a robust relay network and get connected to those chains so it's in place for all the other things that people want to do with it, like cross-chain contract calls.
Yeah, I know a lot of the community is kind of short-sighted, like, yeah, we need IBC because we want to be on Osmosis and Gravity decks, and it's cool, and we're part of the community. But down the future, I'm thinking that we can have a secret contract that interacts with and sets up a DVPN for usage on something that's on the other side of the country, distributed over a Kosh network. Like, the fact that they can communicate kind of on their native chains independently is huge, because we're trying to build something that's cross-platform. But how do you value capture it? How do you make every token useful if you're working on a Web3 stack? I think that this will be, down the road, one of the actual ways to make that happen.
Yeah, I agree.
So what development, I know you're very involved in the actual tech and developing side of this, but what development that you are not a part of are you most excited about for the Secret Network currently?
New enclave support. My interest with Secret Network improvements mostly revolve around enhancing what we can do with private computations. The previous generation of SGX is limited with memory and various other things. So I'm very excited about the new SGX. There's a whole lot of new features. Depending on what they do with it, it could really open the door for a whole lot of new features and use cases, I think. I don't know what all of them are, but I know that there are far more capabilities of the new SGX than the one that the network currently runs on. And pretty much all the other networks. Like I don't know of any other network that is using the newest SGX stuff. They're all pretty much using the same or older than what we're using.
And who is actually building the new SGX compatibility, and what would it look like on the network when we switch from the current to the new iteration of SGX that's recently been released?
So Enigma would be adding support for new enclaves to the network. I believe the last I heard was that new enclave support would come in the upgrade after IBC. Maybe they'll squeeze it into this upgrade. I'm not sure. We'll have to see, but I don't really have any expectations. It wouldn't really change much for a while, other than there being many new processors that are supported, new enclaves that are supported. So it opens up the door for new hardware, which is going to be really important considering the generation of hardware that we're on is actively being deprecated. And the factories that Intel has, they're not producing new supply for that generation, right? So there's a fixed supply of that hardware, availability. And then when it comes to the functionality, I also think it would be a while before we see anything there, because adding new enclave support doesn't remove the old enclave support. So if there was a new feature we wanted to support, all the nodes on the network have to be able to have the same functionality. So we couldn't leverage a feature with the new SGX unless we exclude the old enclaves, is my understanding. But it is still a very important step to move forward to support those.
So it'll be a validator issue where everyone needs to...
No. They don't need to upgrade to a new node. So there's a current set of enclaves that are supported on the network. You have to have one of these enclaves types to get authorized on the network, to register your node and for it to function. That list will be expanded to include the new enclaves. The old enclaves will not be excluded for quite a while. I would imagine, unless some features discover that they really want to leverage, I would imagine there's not an incentive to force off the old enclaves until Intel stops providing security patch updates for those enclaves. And would imagine we have a couple more years of patches and things like that for those enclaves.
So are you still actively building Secret Market, and what is that going to look like?
We're still working through some concepts that we came up with for Secret Market, which is like CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap style product, but for secret assets. And one of the biggest obstacles is, we're a very small team at the moment, and we haven't wanted to take development resources away from like the highest leverage items, the Explorer and the wallet that we're working on. So creating a way to collect and store and track the historical pricing information, that's a thing we would have to tackle. That would take us some time. And recently we started discussing with Zach Superfish to see if we could leverage the data set that he has with Secret Analytics. And I don't know when we would work on this exactly quite yet, but it makes it so we could bring this product to market a lot quicker if we were to collaborate with Superfish. So that's something that could happen maybe before the end of the year.
That is very cool. I have been involved on several of the Telegram calls and whatnot for the secret market, and I know Iowa was in there too, and we were trying to connect it to Secret Swap. Are there still any plans? I know it kind of got shut down, but to have an actual overall interface where you could actually just purchase different secret assets there and it gets wired through Secret Swap?
No, at this point, I think secret market should be very focused on the CoinMarketCap, CoinGecko style user experience. And when it comes to Secret Swap integration, I think it's a better position to take to do those things through Secret Wallet than Secret Market. But on the flip side of that, kind of like what we're doing with SecretNodes.com, where we have slivers of the wallet features on SecretNodes.com and the rest of it is on its dedicated site, we want to be able to pull the stuff from Secret Market into the wallet experience to some extent. We don't want to just mesh all these things together and all the features together, but kind of like a light touch of the pricing information and stuff when you're looking at the assets in your wallet. I think that would be pretty cool to be able to dig into the pricing information kind of like you can on CoinGecko if it's done in the right way. And then with Secret Market, we can take some of those wallet features and sprinkle them onto Secret Market a little bit as well. So if we get the Secret Swap interface working in Secret Wallet, we can pull some of that work in some way over to Secret Market. But the idea isn't to make an all-in-one with a bunch of different products that have different core uses. The idea is to just have them kind of complement each other by crossing some of the features over and making sure that each of them has the best user experience for specifically what somebody is going there for. Otherwise, we would just do everything on SecretNodes.com, and I don't know that it would make a lot of sense, especially with the wallet. Secret Market could kind of fit, but traders and people that are getting into crypto, I think they would want a more of like a CoinMarketCap experience than an Explorer. So I don't think it's right to just fully mesh all of these products together.
In talking with you in the past as well about the market, about the wallet, and about your team, I think that you're doing an excellent job at considering your projects and your products from a new person perspective, from an investor perspective, from a non-necessarily tech-savvy person perspective. I'm really excited to see them roll out and to see how they connect.
Cool. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
I love the work that you do with the podcast as well.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. It's been really fun taking this passion of mine and getting to have conversations with you and Asaf, Brendan, Iowa, and all these other wonderful core contributors to the Secret Network ecosystem and turning this hobby of mine into actual content that other people are going to enjoy as well. So we're certainly having a good time with it. And before we get off, how can people reach you if they want to get involved in development or if they take a special interest in any of your projects and want to learn more from you or need help setting up a node? What are the best ways to reach you?
The best way to reach me is on Telegram. My handle is Moonstash, MOONSTASH.
Ian, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for coming on the podcast, man.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for deciphering the secret code. For the community, by the community. New episodes every Sunday. Secret Sunday. me, I am excited for the Monero Bridge. Give them a way to use DeFi and access trading applications. Give us a secure and private way to cash out. I don't really know how bridges work like this. Do you guys? Would you like to? Stay tuned.